are somewhat similar, but have small differences. The embedding inspector is the main one we're going to use today. It's also what I rewrote to support Stable Diffusion Excel. It allows you to analyze tokens, but also create embeddings. All good F, anytime. Yeah, so that's the embedding inspector. We're going to dive deep into this a bit later. And the embedding merge does what it says. It allows you to merge embeddings. Just like the other one, it does not support Stable Diffusion Excel. It's something I will have to probably implement myself, but it also sorts of it's a bit better to get the tokens for your prompt in different ways. I don't know how to say it. And yeah, but the embedding inspector is probably the most important we're going to use today. I'm going to wait a few more minutes for K. So we got J, we got Rose. Both of you are pretty much into Excel mostly. F, you are still on 1.5 because it takes you like 3 minutes to generate anything on Excel, right? Just trying to get to know my audience so I can adapt. All right, Rose. So actually, here's the thing about the embedding inspector. It does not make Stable Diffusion Excel embeddings, but it does support the one clip model. And I don't want to dive too deep too quick, but um, Excel has two clip models, the G and the L. Those are more obvious in Comfy. But the L, which is this clip model here, is the same on Stable Diffusion 1.5 and Stable Diffusion XL. So you could load Stable Diffusion XL model in A1111 and still get at least that clip to work. So no worries if you want to just load an XL model. I don't know if you still have 1.5s. I just got rid of all my 1.5 stuff. I really think 2 minutes for 30 steps, given your GPU, is not bad at all. Obviously, 2 seconds would be great, but I still have a separate A1111 for 1.5. Oh, yeah, 2 seconds is for J. Oh, here she is. Hello, Kay. Oh, RTX 3050. I thought you had something a bit worse than that. That's not too bad. Hello, hello. All right. Very nice to have you all. Uh, Today is going to be a bit less structured than my last one. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to drive this thing. But we're gonna talk about prompts, tokens, embeddings. Now, I kind of expected you guys to not really check the stuff I shared in classes, so I came prepared. Um, and I got this wonderful thing, which I guess is where we're uh, gonna start. So, when you write a prompt, you write words, and these words are made of tokens, and all of these tokens are processed by the clip, and um, each of those words have kind of a signature, if you will, um, because computers don't understand text very well. Um, what people came up with is to assign them a vector of numbers. And so in this case, what you're seeing on my screen right now, it's 3 dimensions, but the clip L, or the clip for SD 1.5, has 768 dimensions, and clip G, the new one with the SDXL, has 1280 dimensions. So those are very hard to see on a chart like this. Like, there's no way we can display 768 or 1280 dimensions on a chart like this. But it's just to give you an idea of how deep their representation is. So, I'm gonna use a word that I like, which is IMAX. Oh, it doesn't load because I didn't load all the words. Let me load everything. But basically what embeddings are, as I said, is a representation of the text in numbers, right? In a number of dimensions. And what that allows you to do is compare the similarity between words. So if I take IMAX here and I isolate all the points, it's going to isolate all the words that are somewhat related to IMAX, the closest one. So when you write a prompt and you generate a picture, every step of the process, you generate 20 steps or 30 steps, right? Uh, in the diffusion process, it's trying to figure out what your prompt is and how close are you to this IMAX point here. And it doesn't necessarily try to just fit this, but it tries to make sure it's sort of in the same clump, if you will. Does that make any sense at all? Because that's kind of important, because it's really sort of the source, the base of how prompting works. And we're going to see shortly how both of the clip models are behaving very different in that sense. Because, as I said, in this case, this is 3 dimensions. It's it's how can I say it? It's easier to have clumps together, um, but when you have 768 or 1280, you need a lot more in common to form clumps, and it's really interesting what we're going to be looking at. So that was my attempt at trying to explain to you guys how embeddings work and what they're used for. You have any questions about that part of the process? No questions? All good? Okay, awesome. Um, okay, so you don't need to remember all the complicated words, but you should know and understand that Stable Diffusion XL has 2 clip models, and I just call them the Lion one. It's the organization, I guess, who makes this one, and OpenAI is making the other one. I just call it the standard clip. This is your clip L, and that one is both on Stable Diffusion XL, and it's the main clip the only clip in Stable Diffusion 1.5. But the thing is, they share a lot in common, even though their dimensions is different. So give me just a second here while I find the information I'm looking for. As you can see, I was very well prepared. Just looking for a very specific piece of information. 맞춰가야겠다. There you go. Vocab size 49,408 vocabulary. That's how many words this clip knows. Can you read? I'm gonna put this a bit bigger. So the base clip model, that's how much words or tokens it knows. So, sometimes people try to get creative and find the craziest words, but in actuality, that's all it knows. And clip from Lion, the clip G for SDXL users, is actually also the same vocab. So what is good about this is they both actually share the same base vocabulary. So they actually even share the same token numbers. We're going to look at this in 1 second. But some of the other specs are a bit different. But yeah, at the core, they both share the same vocabulary, and that's very essential for where we're going to be heading next. It's good to note here the embedding dimensions in the Lion, the clip G is 1280. It's not exactly twice as much as the um, the base one, but it's a massive difference, and you'll see how much of a difference it makes in a second. Any question about this part of the process? All good. If I speak too fast or speak with a shitty accent, let me know. Um, you're talking real good. Awesome. Yeah, so Kay, you were not here, but I shared some information in the classes channel. It includes 2 extensions for A1111, if you're interested in grabbing those, because we are going to use a somewhat modified version of the embedding inspector um, extension. Now, as I said, it's a slightly modified version. I adapted it to support Stable Diffusion XL. Your extension will look slightly different than this, and the only difference essentially is going to be the fact that you're not going to have 2 rows here. So I have my clip L and clip G rows, and I have 2 box. So I just have twice of everything. You're just going to have half of everything. But what is really neat about this tool is it allows you to first um, check, inspect, I guess is the word, inspect tokens, but it also allows you to create embeddings without training or anything. So we're going to start very simply with uh, someone give me a word, actually. I think it's going to be more fun. Like maybe a word you always include in your prompt, like every prompt you write in your life, this word is always there, or something like that. Masterpiece. I love it, Rose. Masterpiece. So we're going to inspect that. And the top part is the L. So that's the same one as Stable Diffusion 1.5. And the bottom box is results G is the Lion clip. Is this readable for you guys? Please let me know if it's too small or anything. You guys are so funny. You can see? If everybody can see that. That's great. Awesome. So we wrote Masterpiece, and what I have here is for the base clip model, the 50 most similar tokens related to Masterpiece in the 49,000 vocabulary list we saw earlier, right? There's 49,000 something something words in the vocabulary list. These are the 50 closest to Masterpiece. Obviously, after Masterpiece, you have Masterpieces, uh, incomparable, exclusive, prestigious, masterclass, the masters. And the interesting thing about this is, um, as I said, there's this clump, right? If this was on a chart with 768 dimensions, this would be a clump. And for some reason, you have words that like work in progress or Michael Jackson. Um, yeah, you spotted it. So, all of this may or may not be processed by Clip when you're um, generating images. And I think that's the neat thing about having two clips in Stable Diffusion XL, because they are gonna somewhat uh, compete against each other or work together to make sure that you actually just get what you want. So I guess you guys um, took a look at this while I was babbling about all of that, and this is the base clip model. And now we're gonna look at the Stable Diffusion XL um, clip, and here we can see that there is something very interesting, which is there's a lot of words that are not exactly related, but are somewhat similar, because all of this is about similarity, and not just similarity in context, but in the word itself sometimes. So we have masterpiece, but we have like MasterCard, and we have marketplace, and you might be wondering why marketplace, but it's what, 5 letters here, then starts with a P, and then 4 letters, masterpiece, marketplace. They are more similar than they look. And is it attempting to list by relevance? It's not attempting to list by relevance. So I don't want to get into the details of this, but it's using what is called cosine similarity. Cosine similarity is calculated um, from the vector. It's compared with everything. Cosine. Did I pronounce this right? Cosine. Yes. So yeah, that's what it uses to compare. So it's not even about relevance, and I don't want to get into that, but many times you search things online, and sometimes the relevance is using cosine similarity, and we're going to see this more and more in the future. But sometimes it's just using other algorithms, and in this case, it's pure math. So it's using cosine similarity. And that's why we have interesting things like this, like marketplace. I really find this kind of fascinating. Maybe it's just the math guy. Yeah, a math guy in me, but marketplace and masterpiece are very similar words in a way. And yeah, we got still stuff like Star Wars, like, so there's still the relationship, just like there was Michael Jackson earlier, you know, a clump of math. Yes. So yeah, that was Masterpiece. I think it was pretty good. And now I want to do post-apocalyptic because it's a perfect example of why, like, sometimes it's not good to try too hard to make fancy words. So my guess here is going to be the result is not going to be post-apocalyptic. It's probably going to be PO or post. There you go. So post. That's that's what you get, and down is going to be the same because both of them really share the vocabulary. So the the result, the answer for the inspection is going to be the same always, but the similar tokens are going to be different. That's what's sort of differentiates them. But the cool thing about this tool is that you can use it to sort of explore what could be used. So Rose just said apocalyptic has actually useful similarities, and that's actually what I was about to do now. So if you write something here in 2 words, well, the first thing is it's not going to work. It has to be 1 word. So you would have to do like post-apocalyptic in 1 word. And then it becomes Po as I expected. But now that we know it doesn't work, what you want to do is try to get a single token that's as close as possible to what you want. So now you see apocalyptic is an actual token that also happens to be a word. And then you get really interesting words that can be used to either create an embedding or just make your prompts better. Um, you see that's another part, like the SDXL clip model. It's gas under attack. It gets sort of sub tokens as well. So when you type, like, this is actually pretty good. When you type post-apocalyptic, I'm not 100% sure what it's going to do. Is it going to do post apocalyptic, or maybe it's going to just process both of them as 2 tokens, and it's fine because the clip looks at everything. It has a window of 75 tokens. But the thing is, when you start having words that are broken down in sort of sub tokens, you're sort of losing. You're sort of shortening your context window from 75 tokens to something else. Because in this case, like apocalyptic is a very long word, but it's actually just 1 token. If you can fit 75 kind of long or meaningful tokens, you're gonna have a lot more relevance, if you will, in your prompt than if you have a lot of sub little parts, like LP or apocalypse something something. But the thing is, while you're going to use this and just try things out, you're going to find out that a lot of words that you use are not actual tokens. So when you type that in your text box, you're losing sort of meaning. Your prompt is a bit losing of meaning and relevance. And yes, you can type like a 500 million characters prompt if you want, but it's chopped every 75 tokens. So you really need to use them carefully. And the reason I'm teaching you this is, yes, to make your prompting better, but the coolest thing about this tool is that you can just simply create embeddings from this. So what are we trying? Let's make an embedding together, guys. What are we making an embedding for? And it doesn't have to be negative, right? Like earlier, I made a plastic surgery embedding. You put it in positive, and you have very strange people with big lips and all that stuff. And you put it in negative, and you have very natural, beautiful people. Nebula, uh, like astrophotography. That's good. That's good. I want to hear what other people have to say. Um, I'm all ears, Rose. A prompt I use a lot, but not amazing results all the time. Oh, the Nebula thing. Did you stole that from me? Pretty sure I used Nebula before. Okay, you gotta keep this man under control. I was going to brainstorm draw with all the elements that's supposed to have. Well, actually, I think that's a very good what's the word, exercise for this. Nebula is like, I'm very confident we can get it done, probably, but draw is sort of an interesting concept. Yeah, exactly. So let's try that out. So um, I wish you guys could control my screen and just type things in. So as I said, this tool, it's going to look slightly different in A1111, but it's essentially the same. What you want to do is have this send IDs to Mixer. And so the box we've been using so far is to just inspect tokens, sort of see what are the other similar tokens, and get their IDs as well. But when you want to create an embedding, we're going to use what's called the mini tokenizer here, and we're just sort of enter a prompt or tokens, and we're going to tokenize them and send them to the right here. So let's see what Rose says. Black, gray skin, pointy ears, red eyes, white hair. And as I said, you got 75 tokens, so I like to, if possible, just use one token, one word tokens, if that makes sense. So is like dark skin, is that one token? Does that exist? No, we got dark. Uh, if I type black, are they gonna sort of re recommend something? African, not gonna work. Black Lives Matter. Hmm. And draw, you said draw is not a thing. I'm sure you tested it. Oh, D, that's the shortest token I've seen today. All right, so then let's do it your way. So we're gonna do black skin. If I tokenize this, you're gonna see it's coming to the right here. I got my clip L and clip G, but you're just gonna have the L one. So this is most likely black, and this is skin, and you can actually see it here. I'm pretty sure I've trained D to mean draw by this point. Yeah. As I said, like, it's still gonna do the thing. Like, if you have, because let me explain one thing. You see here this W thing. Do you guys see that? It's like some brackets slash W. That's a that means the end of a word. So when you have that in your token, it means the way clip is gonna understand, the way it's gonna understand this is that it's the end of the word. If you have a token that doesn't have this, it sort of expects something else after. So here for draw, we got a D, and the D has no W after that. So if you type draw, it's it's still gonna process the row part. See? And the row has a W. So it's still gonna process them together. It's gonna try to figure out, I mean, it's gonna try to clump them, right? As we talked about earlier. If there's a lot of relationship between the two tokens, it will be um, somewhat somewhat matched, clumped together. And in my experience, Stable Diffusion Excel does it pretty well. But that's something to keep in mind. If you have this, in your token, this W part, it sort of expects your word to be ended there. So it's not going to try to continue after that. So you have to be careful which one you pick if you pick one. Like we have a row here with the ending word part, and we have a row here without it, meaning, I don't know, row something. Rogan? Don't you have like a Joe Rogan? Rogan? I don't know if it's spelled this way, but rowboat. There you go. Rose gets it. I know Rose is going to be the best at this. Joe Rogan. All right, let's go back to this black skin. And by the way, if you're gonna see if I put the comma here and I tokenize this, my comma is processed as a token. Every time you put a comma in your prompt, it just becomes another token. It doesn't really separate anything. So what did we say? Black skin, pointy ears, red eyes, white hair. Anything else? I think that's a pretty good example here. You see, pointy. Point is a token, doesn't have the W part, and the T part has the thing. So it knows that like this is sort of one word. And because the previous word ends with the W thing, we're 100% sure that this is going to be processed as one entity, if you will. I typically have to stack both gray and black skin. Okay, black skin. Uh, how am I going to do this? I'm just going to do gray and black like this, maybe. Gray, black skin. Gray, black skin. That's it? Is that really it? Well, we can try it. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to generate pictures while I'm streaming, but let's try it out. So let's do draw. That's where I start out trying to make him. All right. So save. Um, because this is my own version, I have both, but you're going to have only one file saved, which is for the L. Remember that? The G, as far as I know, nobody has that implemented yet. So now I'm going to move those files. Give me a moment here. Embed creator, embeddings, draw. All right. So they are there. It's going to refresh this thing. And so we're going to do embedding G draw. We're going to do embedding L draw. So this looks complex, but basically what's going to happen here is we're going to have 4 images. The first one with no embedding, the second one with just the G, third one with just the L, and the last one with both. Now to test this thing, I have to write something without saying it's going to be a draw. Close-up shot, powerful pose, intimidating look, a person. I'm just going to write a person. A person in a spooky forest. Does that work? Are you gonna get mad at me, rules? Am I breaking the draw rules? Are they allowed in forests? All right. Okay, so this is the point where I press Q prompt and either my PC crashes, uh, Discord crashes, or everything goes smooth. They don't like sunlight all that much. Good. It's a spooky forest, so it should be fine. Can you guys still see me? Hear me? Am I phasing out from the surface of the earth? It does feel very slow though. Is it my embedding thing taking all my RAM? I need Jay's computer. Yes, I do. Yeah, this is not gonna work. I need to, so to do this, I'm gonna have to shut down this tool because this tool requires about 32 gigs of RAM because of Stable Diffusion Excel. So don't worry about it. For 1.5, you'll be fine. Um, do you guys have questions about this thing before I turn it off? Because starting it takes a while and it takes a lot of RAM. So before I go back to try to generate with the embeddings, if you have any questions about this, I'd rather answer them now. You're starting to get it? Awesome. Um, you can adjust the weights of certain tokens, by the way. Rose already did it, huh? Is this with 1.5? You said you were about to start it with 1.5. So you created the embedding, right? So 1.5 Rose rendered, and you created the embedding following the instructions I just gave with the extension. And what are we looking at? Like left one is uh, they're both the same prompt, but one has the embedding, the other one doesn't, or they both have it. I'd like to see like a comparison without and with. Both have it, right? It'd be nice to see with and without. So if nobody has any questions about the embedding tool, I'm just going to turn it off. All right. And let's give this a try. It's really interesting to see the effects of the embeddings with G and L. They really behave differently. If you lose me, let me know. Same seeds. Same seeds without the embedding. I get it now. There's a difference there, especially the years. We got a fine gentleman here, just looking for pointy ears and white hair. Oh, it's starting to take shape. That's the interesting part. Like as I said, the way the embeddings work on the G and L is very interesting, and then when you combine them, they sort of try to either stabilize each other or totally make a chaos. So yeah, the tool to create the embeddings for the clip G is very, very memory intensive. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna proceed to share that. The clip model itself is like 20 gigs or something. It's pretty big. So yeah, I don't know. If you guys want, like, if you guys are creating embeddings for the clip L with the extensions I shared with you, and you would like to have a version for the G, you can just give me the tokens. I can create them for you. Uh, I'll be more than happy to do so. So do the embeddings grab the weights out of the model you created using, or do they just key the word in the model you're using? Wait a second. So do the embeddings grab the weights out of the model you create it using? Uh, わからない。So if I create the embeddings in rows rendered, then used it in base SD 1.5, would it know the things are R nodes? No, it doesn't work this way. So you have to be careful because textual inversions, some people train them, right? And what we're doing here is not, uh, it's not trained. So when people train textual inversions on a model, it's a bit different because it's trying to sort of teach the concepts at the same time. So the way we're doing it now, you're not sharing any knowledge because it all shares the same clip with the same 49,000 vocabulary. And that's what you're using. So whatever the embedding you just created just works with all the models and it doesn't influence them in any way, shape, or form beyond, uh, the original uh, tokens meaning. Does that make sense? So it's just a shortening of the tokens. Yes, that's all it is. That's really all it is. You can train them, but unless you're doing something very specific, like if you're trying to do a very specific person or something, I don't really see much benefit to do that, especially given the amount of resources it takes. Like, and this is very nice because, for example, Rose is very, very good at prompting, and maybe she's uh, secretive about her prompt. She doesn't want to share them or something. You could just create, a Rose style-ish prompt without actually sharing the prompt. You could just create an embedding and share that, and nobody will know uh, what it is. People would still be able to if they really wanted to, but it's just, not as plain as a prompt. Um, Here we have it. This is what we made. Um, yeah, maybe it was a bit of a shorter embedding than I thought, because SDXL has an understanding of draw. Uh, I could try it out. So it sorts of have a base, but I'm forcing the tokens we embedded in there. We can give it another shot. Um, I'm trying to think how to share some pics. I did some pics earlier. It was really interesting to see how simple things affect. Jay, you're recording this, right? Does the recording include the chat window? Awesome. So is it possible to steal the weights for a prompt out of a model and use them in another model? Is it possible to steal the weights for a prompt? All the models will, I mean, they all have the same clip. So you're talking about like uh, the text encoder stuff? While we wait, I'm just gonna share this. So we're just working in the clip right now, not with any of the actual weights. Well, we're not working with the weights of the model. We're working with the weights of the clip model and the weights of the embeddings. Weights of the embeddings? I don't know if that's right. We're working with embeddings and the weights of the clip. That's why like textual inversions in general are not as destructive, I could say, compared to LoRa's. Like when you use a LoRa, sometimes, it's just not a good fit for your model or something. But embeddings, I guess negative embeddings is the best example, like especially in Stable Diffusion 1.5. Everybody uses them, no matter what model they use, just because it works with any model. It doesn't care about your unit. It doesn't care about your text encoder very much. Bad hands v4, yeah. So that's kind of the cool thing about yeah, textual inversions. I shared 3 pics in the chat. The first one is like a guy, right? Second guy is like a Pope's note. Um, this was a legendary, like mythical. I did a mythical um, textual inversion. And the interesting part is the clip L, the third picture, actually just got rid of the guy because my embedding is so long and my prompt was so long. It got chopped at the 75 mark and then it processed them separately and it just gave up on making the guy. And having the both embeddings sort of stabilized the whole thing and we have the guy and the mountain behind him. So I thought that was interesting. There's a lot of kind of salvaging in this way, I find, with having embeddings on both. Um, the one where the girl is wearing a yellow and green shirt was a sad. I did the sad and the happy textual embedding, and just to sort of have very simple concepts that are easy to visualize. And it's kind of unclear on the second and third picture, the sadness of it. I mean, the second one, she doesn't look happy, but it's not, overwhelming. But when you have both clips, the last picture, it's very clear that she's not having a good time. And it's a bit of the same thing with the happy one. Obviously, she looks happy on the second one, but I don't know why she became so cartoony. And the third one, she tried to smile, but it didn't really work. And so obviously the last one, she went like super, yeah, super happy. So yeah, that's uh that's really, I think having both clips is really neat. So I don't know, any of you guys have a lot of RAM? I don't mind sharing my tool with you if you don't share it around, but uh, you need about 32 gigs of RAM to run this thing. Embedding happy. Oh, you have 64. Wow, Rose. Jay, I guess you have a lot too. I think Jay doesn't have that much. What happened here? What is this? Rose, I need explanations. It's really interesting, like in this case, the G, because of how many dimensions the clip G has, small things can make a big change with the clip G, but clip L sometimes it doesn't make that much of a change. Like it does have an advantage sometimes, but that's also why in uh, Stable Diffusion 1.5 we had to use like parentheses so much and weights and bad hands colon 3.5, and it doesn't care no matter what you throw at it. It barely changes anything. So that's interesting. While clip G, there's so many dimensions. You change one word, one token, and the clump is totally somewhere else, and you end up with, I don't know what the hell this is. Um, she got stabbed. Pointy ears in models that aren't trained from it tend to start producing horns. Horns and pointy licks of hair near the ears. Yes, so I'll share the, yeah. Actually, I should try, let's try this, but let's try it with my negative now. I got negative as well. Embedding, and then I guess we can end it there. Uh, Brain Excel negative and big brain. Where's the big brain negative? Big brain negative. All right, that's gonna be the last run. Do you guys have any other questions? I think that would be it for today. But I think with this information, it can make a big difference in how you prompt, and by extension of that, the results you're gonna get. And it's really good for inspiration as well, like when you can search the tokens and see clip G big, clip L small. Yes. So yeah, you can call it little L if it helps you remember. Little L, big G. I used to have 16 gigs of RAM, but upgraded semi recently because it was cheap and it was starting to be a problem. Yeah, then if there's anybody here who can really squeeze all the juice out of this tool is you. Very excited to see what you're gonna make with that. 16 to 64 is massive. Eight. That's as much as you can. 8 tabs. And yeah, what you're getting is roughly what I expect trying to prompt a model that hasn't been fine-tuned looking at draw. Can you tell I have some Ashoka in my data set? Whoa. Oh? Ah, I did the horns, but I thought it was getting closer. It's really interesting to see the combinations. There you have it. It's not bad, to be honest. I don't know anything about drows, but without the horn, I feel like this is it, maybe. Ah, white hair, no white hair. Bad. So this would be it, guys. Can't believe it's been 1 hour already. I doesn't feel that way. If you have any questions, thank you very much, Jay. How do you do what? What have I done? Yeah, really interesting stuff to look and think about, really. Ah, the last one, right? Yeah. The combination of both really makes a difference. That's why, like, the main thing I've heard from the SDXL using people is that negative embedding don't seem to work as strong as before, and it's because all the not just negative embeddings, but any embeddings you get from Civet right now are all trained on the clip L, and it's obvious that clip L is the closest to using no embeddings. Clip G is the one that really sort of shake things up, and when you use both of them, that's where the magic happens. But I don't know why nobody wrote the thing. I wrote this script in a day. But yeah, I guess it's because of the resource usage. It uses a lot of RAM. But this is game changing. I plan on making at least 10 embeddings as soon as I have this set up. I want them. This is the deal. I give you my code, you give me your embeddings. Two brain cells at work. I think A1111 also doesn't support SDXL embeddings yet. Oh, that's possible. That's possible. Yeah, A1111 still has a lot of ways to go to be good at Excel. So I'm kind of done here. I don't want to hold you guys. I know it's late. If you want to leave, feel free to leave. I'm still here. It's only 1 p.m. for me. Doesn't have the clip G and L text boxing yet. Yeah. See you, Kay. Thanks for coming. All right. Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much. Plug the Discord. Huh? Oh, you mean plug the Discord? You're talking to me, asking me to plug the Discord. Today's class was sponsored by aipub. I don't know exactly what to say. This was a bit unprompted. Brain cannot follow directions. I can't read English. I don't know. Plug the Discord. I was looking at the wall, looking for the hole. It's complicated. But yeah, aipub.social. We are friends. Join us. We have cookies and good people. It was a variety of instructions. I remember that one.